Hey there gamer, welcome to another class analysis with D6 Damage. Today we're headed into the woods to look at the Druid. Now Druid is a class that I've wanted to play but I have yet to have an opportunity. Druids are kind of a combination of a skill-based class and a casting-based class, and they have all kinds of neat magical abilities. Druids are all about their connection to nature, and their ability to use its awesome power for various purposes. Either to, say, heal and promote harmony, to bring balance to the world, or to wreak havoc. It all depends on what you want to do. Now, Druid alignments have to have a neutral component. I believe in some versions of Dungeons & Dragons, Druids are required to be true neutral. But I know for a fact that in Pathfinder you can be neutral good, true neutral, neutral evil, lawful neutral, or chaotic neutral. You just gotta get a little taste of that neutral in there. Now if you want some examples of Druids, you can't go wrong with Radagast the Brown. This wizard loves the animals and lives to protect nature. Although I believe he's slightly different in Lord of the Rings, the version in Peter Jackson's The Hobbit is still great. You can definitely argue that San from Princess Mononoke has some very Druid-like things about her, in that she's all about protecting nature, and she's extremely feral. I personally believe that the Skull Kid from Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask is also very druidic. Even if he's not nature-powered, he at least comes off as being kinda nature-themed. And if you're looking for an idea for a druid who really pushes the whole love, harmony, hippy-dippy aspect of the class, I think you just need to look at Fluttershy. Alright, now let's dig in and really look at what makes the druid class. The core features of the class are the druid's animal companion, wild shape, and the fact that they're a wisdom-based casting class. As a druid, one of your best features is going to be your animal companion. It's almost like having a second character that you can control. At the start, you'll be able to pick from a variety of animal companions. This is going to tend to vary based on which version of the game you're playing and what books your DM lets you use. I'm sure you can find some really exotic and interesting stuff. Pathfinder has both dragon and dinosaur druids available, so think of all the exciting opportunities you have with that. But if you're in the mood for something a little more classic, you can't go wrong with a wolf. As your druid gains experience and increases in power, so will your animal companion. In Pathfinder, your animal companion will gain feats, ability bonuses, and bonuses to its natural armor. Some interesting uses for your animal companion are filling in for certain skills that you may not have. And using your animal companion for combat maneuvers like flanking is also a great idea. The next major ability of the druid class is wild shape. This is your ability to turn yourself into a fierce protector of the natural world, or terror of the civilized world, or however you choose to do it. Anyway, you can turn into an animal, and at higher levels, a plant creature or even an elemental. And the higher level you are, the bigger or smaller you can be. And that's cool. Now let's talk about the druid spells. As a druid, you have kind of an eclectic collection of spells. You have various healing spells, and those are always nice to have. You also have certain enchantment abilities that only apply to animal-type creatures. Entangle is one of the best first-level druid spells. And if you feel like carting around a wooden weapon with you, I recommend Shillelagh. This spell gives it a +1 bonus and lets you treat the weapon as 2 full-size categories larger. A friend of mine came up with the idea of casting Shillelagh on a great club, which means it does 3d8 of damage. Yeesh. Alright, now let's look at the druid's secondary abilities. The first one you'll usually get is Nature Sense. This gives you a +2 on Knowledge Nature and Survival. Then there's Wild Empathy. This basically lets you make a diplomacy check but with an animal. This charisma-based check allows you to improve the attitude of an animal. Typically, domesticated animals will have an attitude of neutral toward you, wild animals will be hostile, and that sort of thing. Another fun ability that druids get is Woodland Stride. This lets you move through difficult undergrowth without taking any penalties to your movement. Although I think this only applies in forests, but it may vary based on what kind of druid you take. Next, you get Trackless Step. This means you can't be tracked, and you don't leave a trail, although you can choose to leave a trail if you like. Another good ability that druids get is Resist Nature's Lure. This gives you a +4 bonus on all saves you make versus the Fae. And fairies can be quite nasty. Next, there's Venom Immunity. And it does exactly what it says. It makes you immune to poison. One of your higher level abilities is 1,000 Faces. This allows you to disguise yourself at will, but it doesn't allow you to change your gear. It is a polymorph effect. So bear that in mind. You physically change. It's not just an illusion. And your highest level feature is Timeless Body, which means you don't take penalties from age. So if you're in a campaign where that's going to be an issue, Druid is a class to consider. Druids are also capable of spontaneous casting, at least in Pathfinder. What they do is they can eat spells that they've prepared in order to cast Summon Nature's Ally. A great application for this ability is just dogpiling your enemy under summon creatures, your ally, and your wild-formed self, of course. Druids also know a secret language called Druidic, obviously. And this lets you communicate with other druids, and probably nature stuff will speak it too. Although, if you teach Druidic to a non-druid, you lose all your powers. So just don't. Now, the Druid class does have some drawbacks. Number one is you can't wear metal armor or carry a metal shield. And if you do, no Druid powers for you. And Druids don't really get that many spells per day. It's about the same as a wizard. One major difference between 3.5 D&D and Pathfinder is that Pathfinder Druids, instead of taking an animal companion, they have the option to, as their bond with the natural world, to take a cleric domain instead. And Pathfinder Druids have the additional advantage of 0-level spells. So those are always fun. Now, as I said, Druids have some features of the skill-based classes, such as a D8 hit die, so you're a little more viable as a frontline fighter, and 4 skill ranks per level. Some skills that the Druid class gets are Climb, Craft, Fly, Handle Animal, naturally, Heal, Knowledge Geography, Knowledge Nature, Perception, Perform, Spellcraft, Survival, and Swim. Now, because Perception is wisdom-based, you'll definitely want to put points into it and just be the eyes and ears of the party. And then there's Heal, which is usually also wisdom-based, and that's another good place to have points, to just have another option for healing. I hope you've enjoyed this analysis of the Druid class for 3.5 D&D or Pathfinder. If you're interested in more class analysis videos, check out D6 Damage right here on YouTube. Thank you for watching.